Green Hell is an open-world survival game developed by Creepy Jar and is listed for $24.99 on Steam. Today, I'm going to talk about Green Hell in its current state and answer the question, is it worth buying in 2021? As always, if you find today's video informative, if you enjoy it, leave a like, comment down below, and let me know what is your favorite survival game you're currently playing. And as always, if you want to stay in the know for all things survival gaming, stay tuned here on GoBot Survival, hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss a single survival upload. Now, let's jump into my review for Green Hell. Green Hell is a sweltering struggle for survival in the Amazonian rainforest. Clinging to life, the player is set on a journey of durability as the effects of solitude wear heavy not only on you, but the body and also your mind. How long can you survive against the dangers of the unknown? Hey everyone, GoBot here, back with GoBot Survives, and today we're breaking down and talking about Green Hell in 2021, and is this game worth buying? As you just listened to me read off the synopsis of this game, it's definitely a daunting survival game. It's much more, I would say, hardcore survival compared to other games in the same genre. I mean, a lot of people, they'll draw inspiration from The Forest, which is one of my favorite survival games that's come out in the last 5 or 6 years or so, but it's definitely leaning on that type of vibe. Of course, you're in the Amazonian rainforest, and you're trying to survive in this very lethal environment. So today we're kind of going to break in to different aspects of Green Hell, talk about what I like, maybe some things I don't like, and maybe some things we can improve on as well. And at the end of the video, stay tuned. I'll tell you whether or not I believe this game is worth purchasing at full price for $24.99 in 2021. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about the different modes you can play with them in Green Hell. There's, of course, the story mode, their single-player campaign, which you can also play with co-op, which is a nice thing. I do think the story is worth playing through at some point, but it is not where my bang for the buck is. For me personally, I have spent the majority of my time, once I kind of got the grasp of the game, and I think the game deserves to be played mostly in the survival mode. Of course, you got your single player story, you have survival mode, and then you have the challenge mode, which is basically challenge mode. You want to make the game even harder for yourself and have to follow certain rules. You can do that. But for me, the bread and butter of Green Hell lays within the mode of survival, where you can pick from a variety of different difficulties. You can even do custom difficulty if there's certain things you think are too easy, certain things you may think are too difficult. You can adjust those things within your custom difficulty settings before you even get into your survival run. Now, survival, of course, it just drops you into the game cold turkey. You have nothing on you. There's no indicators telling you where to go. It's just throwing you into the game and saying, here you are in the Amazonian rainforest, survive. Now, for me personally, my first few hours playing Green Hell, and I jumped in, I did the tutorial, of course, and then I went in and I just jumped straight into survival. And it was frustrating. To speak the truth, it was very frustrating to start because I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing outside of the tutorial mechanics it taught me. And it was a lot of trial by fire. And that, I think, works in Green Hell's advantage, actually. Speaking about the core gameplay loop of this game, you need to keep your vitals up, you need to craft, and you need to explore and survive in this Amazonian rainforest. So let's first talk about your vitals. And of course, every great survival game, you have certain vitals you're having to take care of. Most games, it's food and water. In this game, it's a little bit more complex than that. So of course, you got to take care of your food and water, as well as your health and your stamina, and also your sanity. Your sanity can run out if you eat certain foods, if you let's say eat human flesh or eat the human meat from the locals, the natives in this game. That can drop your sanity. If you're playing in co-op and your co-op buddy dies, that will drop your sanity. And as the lower and lower your sanity gets, you'll begin to hear voices in your head and start to hallucinate and see things that aren't technically there, but they can still harm and kill you. So sanity is definitely something you'll want to pay attention to. But more than that, looking at your vitals, your core health and water, this dramatically can affect you, cause and effect throughout the game. And food is a little bit more complex than what you see in most of these survival type of games, where typically in most survival games, as long as you eat something, your food gauge goes up and your health goes up accordingly as well. This game breaks it down actually into 3 dynamic key components of a typical diet, of course. You have in your food category, if you look on your watch, it actually shows you have a gauge for proteins, carbs, and fats. And then, of course, you have one for water as well. Your goal basically is to keep those bars, those vitals for carbs, proteins, fats, and water as high as possible throughout the entirety of you playing the game. For instance, if your water drops low, your stamina will be lower, your max health will be lower, and it's going to make it a lot more difficult for you to survive. Same thing if your carbs are low, you're not going to have as much energy, and that means your health by product of that will be lower as well. So basically, if your food gauges are lower, your max health will be lower, as will be your max energy levels. So your food is very, very pivotal and important. Maybe you're going to have to go hunt, say some birds, and then you get the bird's meat. You can cook the meat. Now you have a good source of protein, carbs, and even fats as a part of that. Maybe you can eat some nuts you find. That gives you some fats and a little bit of carbs. Different mushrooms throughout the world will provide you with various nutrients as well. So really paying attention to the different foods you're eating in the game to get the specific type of food you need, whether it be protein, carb, fat, or all of the above, as well as your hydration with the water you're taking in, which you can get from certain fruits as well. So I think that's a really dynamic part of the game that I find most enjoyable, as oddly as it may sound, because it's very hardcore survival. But that is a part of the game that I really enjoy, is eating certain types of foods, cooking stews, and figuring out which concoction, which thing gives you the most benefit. And everything in this game you eat and consume has a cause and effect. Most of the time, in the raw form, they have negative effects. Let's say you find a certain mushroom, and a lot of the game, y'all, is exploration and you just trying to figure things out. I recommend first time playing through the game, y'all, just jump in and eat things and figure out what they do. They may kill you, they may make you sick, they may make you have food poisoning, they may cause your sanity to drop, they may just give you positive effects, they may remove parasites and things of that nature. But a lot of exploration will pay off in the long run. That's how I spent my first few hours, was just kind of messing around, eating things, messing with different parts of the game and the map, and then figuring out what to do and not to do. And that aided my survival going forward into the next dozens of hours playing the game. Now, moving off of the vitals and taking care of your vitals, another key component to any of these open world survival games is the crafting system. And I think this game has a pretty good crafting system. Reminds me of The Forest in some ways as well. You have basically your backpack where you can look through the different parts of your backpack. Maybe it's sticks, and you have rope, and then you have, of course, your consumables, and then you have just your craftable things as well, which you can use for various things. When maybe you're trying to make a stone axe, maybe you're trying to make yourself a stone spear so you can attack jaguars and the natives if they come attacking you at your camp, or maybe you're just wanting to use those things for hunting. So crafting is a very basic and a key component of this game. It can evolve as you find different recipes. Maybe eventually you learn how to make things out of mud, so you can make mud bricks, which will help you with creating bigger and newer things at your base camp, with adding mud walls and things of that nature, maybe even furnaces and forges to help make different key components that help your survival. So crafting, again, I do find it to be enjoyable. I do think the base crafting, actually building your base, is a little bit lacking currently in its current state in 2021. I am hoping with future updates they're going to bring to the game and their major updates, I hope they kind of flesh out base crafting a little bit more, because right now there's nothing, you can't make any non-angular structures. You can't really add any curve to any of that stuff unless you really can, break the system and kind of do some creative things. But I would like to see non-square structures in the game. I'd like to be able to add some cylindrical, some circular type things as well into the game for basically building my base out. But basically the game doesn't, you can have certain places you can build at. There's places throughout the map where you can kind of see it's just kind of a dry area where there's nothing on it. Those are areas where their game developers are basically telling you build here. So I do think the game has a good core crafting system with base building as well. but it is a little bit lacking in terms of really being creative and letting you let loose your creative side in Green Hell. So again, it's all there for you. You can create your weapons, you can create your armors, you can create all sorts of things at your base, whether it be a water collector, whether it be a smoker, whether it be just something to hold your logs and your sticks and your rope or whatever you're collecting. You can do all those things in this game as you would expect in most survival games. It's all here in Green Hell. But now we're going to move on to what I think is the most exciting and also pulse-pounding part of Green Hell, and that is the survival aspect. Of course, we talked about your vitals and having to keep everything topped off. We've talked about the crafting of creating a base and all of that, but the biggest part for me is just surviving this Amazonian rainforest you are in. Any little thing you do can kill you in this game. Plain and simple. You could be walking around the rainforest, and your job is maybe you're trying to go find a certain mushroom. Me personally, I like to go find this big tree that drops, basically it drops these Brazilian nuts, which have a lot of fats in them, and also have these blue mushrooms, which are really good at giving you energy. So, I may be trying to go find one of these trees, and then all of a sudden I walk into an ant pile, and now I've got ant bites on me, and that can get infected, and that can cause problems down the road. Or maybe I'm walking around, and then randomly a snake I didn't see out of the brush bites me. Now I'm infected. I have a venomous bite that causes a fever, and if I don't treat that wound, if I don't have the means to treat that wound and that infection and that fever, that can kill me within minutes in the game. And that is a daily struggle in Green Hell. Anytime you're going out and venturing, you can be killed by the elements around you. Maybe it's not the jaguar that you'll eventually find in your camp that's trying to kill you. Maybe it's not the local natives that are around. They'll come around your camps, especially if they have fire. They'll come around with their whole tribe and basically try to kill you and your things you've crafted there at your base, which is always a pulse pounding moment. But even just the wildlife out there, maybe it's the spiders on the ground, the scorpions on the ground, the, as I mentioned, snakes that are around and about, the bees and the wasps, that can sting you and cause infections. Maybe it's even parasites that you intake whenever you're eating certain foods. If you're not careful with cooking your food or eating certain food properly, you can get parasites, which could cause various other problems for you as well. But there's so many different elements within this Amazon that if you are just willy-nilly running around, you're probably not going to survive very long. This game really begs you to take your time, to look around your surroundings, to see the lay of the land, and carefully plot your course and try to survive with a slow, methodical process, which I like a lot. I like to be able to just kind of go around a zone, listen to your surroundings. This is another thing I want to talk about. The sound in this game is excellent. Listening to the rattling of the snakes, listening to the hissing of maybe a spider that's like making a hissing sound at you, let you know, hey, careful, there's a scorpion, there's a spider, there's a snake nearby. Listening to your surroundings is key in this game. Also, you can hear the local tribe people around that are chanting and saying things. You can hear them when you're nearby. So the sound design in this game is really, really excellent, especially with the amount of rain. Of course, you're in a rainforest, so there's tons and tons of rainstorms. I love the rain element of this game. I really love this game, especially at nighttime, seeing the god rays of the sun and even the moon just peeking through the trees at nighttime and letting the whole landscape, this green, lush landscape now, has basically turned a muted, dark color, but with the moon reflecting off of the wet landscape and the green all around. It's a beautiful game to look at. It's a great sounding game as well. So if those are two areas that are important to you in survival games, Green Hell will definitely check those boxes. It's a nice, beautiful looking game. It runs extremely well on my PC, which is by no means a top-notch PC. I mean, I'm running an i7 2060 Super with 16 gigs RAM, but it's not like I have the top of the line brand new PCs. It's a good PC, but this game runs solid. When I'm not recording the game, it runs usually about 90 to 100 frames at high settings. and it runs really, really well. So for those of you that care about graphics and care about your sound, Green Hell will check those, like I said. Also, one thing talking about surviving in this very, very harsh open world is within the combat systems itself. There are a few different weapons you can use to your disposal. Anything basically you craft you can use as a weapon, even your fist. And there is a leveling progression system in this game. If you look in your notebook, everything has a score from 0 to 100, whether it be hand-to-hand combat, using your axe, using your spear, using your bow, fishing, cooking. All those things it's basically like an RPG. You can level them up by actually doing the task in game. So the more and more I use my bow, that bow skill will go from 0 all the way up to eventually 100 if you play the game enough and you use that item, that skill, enough in the game. And by a product of that, if you use these things and you get those skills higher, that will make, let's say with your bow, it'll make your accuracy better, it'll make your stamina when using the bow better. Let's say it's something like I'm learning how to cook food, it'll make me cook food better. If it's using my spear, it's going to make me use less stamina with using the spear and increase damage, which is a nice thing to see. So every time you're using these items, it's going to aid your character going forward, kind of like an RPG system, something you've seen in games like Skyrim even. So I think that really aids the game in adding more of a progression long term, is that you have these skills you know you can do that you see in your notebook, and the more and more you do those skills, the higher those levels will go up, and that will aid you in your task of survival in this map, in this world. Now, within the combat systems itself, this game, as I said, it's harsh and you can die at a moment's notice, and it doesn't take a lot to kill you, the player, or anything else in this game. And this is one of the biggest things for me, is talking about the combat in this game. I absolutely love the fact that all it takes is a headshot or a blow to the head, and whatever it is you're fighting can die. Period. The scariest things in this game, thinking about the jaguar that comes out of nowhere and attacks you at night at your camp. Terrifying moment for sure, and it can be a life or death situation, obviously. And I've died many of a time to the jaguar in this game, being basically thrown off. I panicked, wasn't prepared for the fight. Maybe I stabbed it a couple times with a spear, but it killed me because it hit me twice. Now I was dead. Now, all it takes is one, let's say you hit it in the head with a bow, with an arrow, dead. Maybe you throw your spear, or maybe you stab it with your spear in the head, dead. That's all it takes. Same thing with the tribe people that come around that will attack you, sometimes solo, sometimes duo, sometimes they'll come with their whole dang camp. All it takes is one key hit to the head, whether it hits with a bow and the arrow, whether it's with a spear. You can throw the spear as well, and that's one of my favorite things to do, is just to javelin that spear, throw that thing, try to get headshots. But headshots are insta-kills, no matter what it is you're fighting in this game, and I think that's, in this type of harsh survival game, is huge. It's a key component to the combat, and it makes the game, for me, more fair without having to worry about, because again, if I'm skilled and know I can get headshots, I'm not that terrified of the combat. I'm more terrified of running into elements around the world that will kill me, like a spider that I didn't see, or maybe a snake or something that I've talked about before that will cause a fever or an infection. That terrifies me more than getting caught off guard by these tribes people, or the jaguar, because I know if I take my time and just focus, I can kill that thing with one headshot. So again, if you're wanting to combat in this game, if you're wanting a fair kind of a more realistic combat system, this game has that for you. It definitely is high damage, especially with headshots. That's an incredible thing about it. But y'all, just wanted to touch on the combat a little bit there for you all, for those of you interested in the combat in Green Hell. But y'all, again, this game is just a blast. I've only briefly touched on some of the mechanics of this game. I'm not going to dive in deep to the story. I'm not going to dive into like things in the late game. But y'all, if you're wanting a fun survival game that's going to test you, that's not going to hold your hand through the process, and you can play in co-op or solo, Green Hell may be just for you. For me, it's checked all the boxes. It was something me and my buddies bought, and we were just kind of wanting a new survival game to play, and it's been out for a while, and it's kind of been on my watch list for a while. I'm very happy with the purchase, and I'm very, very happy to continue to cover this game here on our survival channel here at GoBot Survives. Y'all, it's been a blast. It definitely is a hardcore survival game. I mean, seriously, any if it can go wrong, it probably will go wrong at some point in your play session. You may be off adventuring and going from map 1 to map 2 to map 3, and then all of a sudden, you forgot to save, you forgot to sleep somewhere, you get killed randomly by a random snake bite, and now you're infected. You don't have the the means to treat that infection and that fever, you die, and now your last save is when you spawn back, and you better hope you can find your way back to where you died to pick up all your stuff. It's that simple. I mean, it's that dangerous as well, but y'all, it's so much fun. If you're wanting a hardcore survival game that's going to basically bring all the elements you love out of the forest, but double down into them in the hardcore element of survival, this game is for you. There's going to be a ton of brand new updates coming out within the next year. This game eventually, as they said on the roadmap, will be coming to consoles at some point, which is an exciting thing for you console fans. But expect lots more Green Hell coverage here on the channel, y'all. I definitely recommend purchasing this game if you're wanting a new survival game, even at full price. But it's definitely, I mean, right now, as of me recording, it's on a sale on Steam. So keep an eye out for that for sales. But if you're wanting a hardcore survival game that's open world, similar to The Forest, Green Hell checks all the boxes. It's a ton of fun. It has a fun story. It has a great survival mode. It has a challenge mode, which can add, different variety of variables to the game as well. But y'all, it's a ton of fun. Give it a shot. Check out some gameplay if you're still skeptical of it. I'll have some on the channel here as well. But y'all, I hope you found today's review for Green Hell informative. Again, it's a ton of fun. It's a blast. If you have friends to play it with, I recommend that highly, highly, highly. It's a fun game on its own, solo, but playing with your buddies, in my opinion, is the way to go, because there's things you'll do in this game and things that will happen that will just be stories to tell going forward after that, for sure. But y'all, thank you again for tuning in here today to Go Bart Survives. If you found today's review informative, supportive, hit the thumbs up. Comment down below. Let me know again, what is your favorite survival game you're playing right now? Down below in the comment section, let me know. And if you never want to miss out on any Green Hell news, gameplay, survival gameplay, and survival games in general, stay tuned here at GoBot Survives. Hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss out on any survival gaming here on the channel. But y'all stay safe and well. Happy New Year. And we'll see you back here in the next video. Y'all take it easy.